Welcome to Live the Mod Life, where we celebrate women and cool men too who are breaking free from the status quo and living life on their own terms. Hi, everyone. I'm Jennifer Abernathy, and together we're going to explore stories of transformation, resilience, and empowerment. Plus, each month, I'm going to bring you Get Ready for Mod News. This is insights and trends to inspire your life's journey. So let's rise above the expectations, unlock our true potential together, and remember, it's not midlife, it's mod life. And if you're not living your mod life yet, you will be on your way after listening to this episode. Let's go. Okay, in this particular episode, you're going to meet a friend of mine, Indra Books, who I met here in Washington, D.C. through various networking events here in Washington metro area. 7 years ago, Indra moved to Spain, and now it's 2025, and she is, I believe now, a full resident in Spain and is staying there and is actually living the mod life in Spain. So I know a lot of you are interested in possibly moving to Europe, and Indra did move there at midlife, and it is possible. She's going to share with us what it really is like, and she opens with, it's not like a vacation. When we go to these places and we're on vacation, we're sipping our lattes, we're looking at people, we're enjoying great food, we're seeing great attractions. But the real life is, you got to get your clothes washed. You need to go to the pharmacy. You got to schedule a doctor appointment. You need tax documents, whatever it may be. You need a good landlord, all of these good things. And so she's going to share with us, the real world. And I will say she loves it there. But I'm appreciative of her giving us a real world view of what it's like to move there. She also shares some resources of what we need to look at and what we should look at before we go over, including, going back and, how are we going to get there and what kind of documentation that we need. So enjoy this episode with Indra Books. Hello, everyone. I'm really excited about this episode because I know a lot of you are like me, and at midlife or beyond, you have thought about wanting to move to Europe. And I know in my case, I definitely want to go over there. I want to live for a year in Europe. I've been thinking Paris, France, but I'm still staying open. But I'm also thinking about a fractional ownership over there where I maybe get a place with 3 or 4 other women and we share it and live there in part-time of the year. Well, I want to introduce you to my friend Indra Books, who used to live here in Washington, D.C. and relocated to Spain. Indra, how many years has it been?
6.5.
6.5. Oh my gosh. And what town of Spain are you in right now?
I am in a little town called Arenys de Mar, which is in Catalonia, north of Barcelona on the coast.
Okay, so that's all you have to say. And I'm thinking espresso, I'm thinking fresh fruit, I'm thinking some wonderful Spanish bread in the morning, tropical breezes, cobblestone streets. I mean, my imagination just starts going. So I am eager to hear. I first of all, I mean, we'll talk about. I think it takes some courage to do what you did, and so my hat is off to you. And it also takes a bit of resilience, because I know that the process probably had some hiccups in it, from everything from packing up and selling your place here in Washington, D.C., making that decision, telling everyone that you're going to do it. And you heard probably the good, the bad, and the ugly from everybody. And then getting over there and all that you had to do to, basically implant yourself in Spain. So I want to hear all about it. And I also want to talk about your business as well. So everyone, please meet Indra Books. And she is the CEO of agilityforall.com over in Spain, but she works internationally. We'll talk more about that at the end. Let's talk about moving to Europe and moving to Spain.
I don't know if we have enough time on one podcast for all those that you set the bar really high on.
I did. And we're going to try to keep this 25 minutes, but someone's listening right now. They're either in their car driving and they're listening, they're on the treadmill, they're walking, and they also have had that dream about moving to Europe. And, let's put, Spain right now is popular. here in America. You know, a lot of people are thinking Spain, Portugal. So if you could say, give us some tips and mindset that we need to make this happen, or even
I think
consider it.
the biggest tip that I can give people is go into it with your eyes wide open. And I know I've said this to you before, but this is not Emily in Paris. You know,
Yeah.
Emily never has to do any paperwork, never has to deal with the government, never has to get a visa, never has to do any of those things that are day-to-day occurrences when you are a foreigner moving to another country. And it's really important that you not think that moving to another country is like going on a vacation, because it is vastly different. And so I always encourage people from the US, you can go to most places for 90 days without a visa. And I
Yeah.
really encourage people to take that opportunity, because until you have to go to the pharmacy and get a prescription, go to the doctor, or have, you know, an urgent situation you need to deal with, or deal with authorities, you do not know what it is like to live somewhere. And I recently had someone say, well, you know, but when we go on holidays, we always rent an apartment, so we go buy groceries. I said, it is not the same. You are staying in a very high level area with all of the resources, and you need to go stay somewhere that is in your budget of what it would be on the day to day to live there and really experience it. Because while there are lots of us who have moved and are happy and have made a go of it, I know quite a few people who have left. So
Okay.
go
Yeah.
into it with your eyes wide open, and remember that the grass is not always greener on the other side. So do your due diligence.
I love that. In fact, I'm thinking in my mind, okay, when can I do my 90 days, or even 30 days gives you something, but you're saying no, make it longer. Do at
Yep.
least a 90-day. If you're seriously thinking about, because I am seriously thinking about moving to Europe, just block out that time, right? And just do it. Go to
Well,
the pharmacy, go to the grocery store.
yeah,
Try to, how are you language wise, right? Speaking, all that good stuff.
try to buy things that you need, because there's no Costco here.
Yeah.
So, you know, go do the things that you normally do, but on the local economy. And that's another good point, is live on the local economy. Do not live on your US salary and your US expectations, because they are very, very different. And that's really important if you're going to move somewhere, because if you're moving somewhere, you're no longer a visitor. You know, you're in it for the long haul, and you need to be prepared for what that means.
Yeah. Okay. Now that's a really great tip. I hadn't thought about that. Can you expand on that a little bit? Live on the local economy.
So, one of the biggest complaints that you hear from people, especially in popular areas like Spain, is that it is becoming more and more difficult for local people to live on the local economy, because foreigners are driving the prices up.
Mm,
So, if rents are 700 a month, for example, for a two-bedroom, and you come from Washington, D.C., well, I don't know where you would get in a two-bedroom apartment in D.C. for 700 a month.
I mean,
Um,
yeah, doesn't exist.
exactly. But here, that's the norm. But what happens is, if the economy knows that there will be foreigners who will pay more, that two-bedroom apartment suddenly becomes 1,200 a month.
Mm,
Well, with local salaries, that means most people can't afford an apartment in their own community. And so I really encourage people to be ethical about your plans, and not say, well, I can afford 2,000 a month because, you know, I have my US salary and I make a lot of money and I can overpay for everything. First of all, that is not going to endear you to the locals, but it is also creating inequity in the community that you're moving to. And I have to assume that if you're moving here because you want to be part of that community, that you don't want to transplant the US into another country.
right, right, exactly. No, we want a new experience. We want to get involved with the community and all that good stuff. Okay, no, that's really good insight, because yes, I think Emily in Paris. I think beautiful wardrobe. I think you know, again, drinking that latte. I'm imagining you having your espresso on your balcony every morning, drinking, with your wonderful Spanish bread. But there's so much more to it.
And it's not that I don't enjoy sitting on my balcony every morning, but I do drink tea. I don't drink coffee. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I'm a tea.
I am an exception here, mind you. We are a coffee country, but I do sit on my balcony in the morning and I drink my tea and I look at the sea, and that's a reality for me. That is not a reality everywhere you live because you know, you had made a comment about tropical weather. It's currently 13 Celsius, which is 60, 55 Fahrenheit. I'm not good at Fahrenheit.
Uh-huh.
So it's not tropical weather, you know, all year round.
Right.
We
Right.
have seasons here. Obviously, it's warmer in the south of Spain, but I'm in the north, so we have seasons. But we also have lots of sunshine. So just you have to go, and it's a process. For me, I have been coming to Europe since I was 14 years old. At one point, I was responsible for all of Europe through my work. So I was here all the time. So for me, there was not as big of a learning curve of what it meant to live in Europe. But if you've never done it, or your only experience has been a week holiday here and there, you
Yep.
really need to explore. So your first trip, your first 3 months might be a week or two in different places until you figure out what are the places that appeal to you. And then once you find the place that appeals to you, then go and do later, maybe a year later, do the full 3 months.
I like that. That's a
You've got
little.
to get the experience. What's the client, you know, and the other thing I tell people, go in the least desirable weather.
I was thinking that myself. I was thinking, you know what? I need to go over to Paris in February because I hear it's dark. I hear it's rainy. I hear you might not see the sun for 3 weeks. And I need to go over there when it's dark and gloomy because if I go in May, it's going to be absolutely stunning and beautiful, but that's not reality.
Right.
All year round. Right.
Exactly. You know, and the opposite is true here. You know, in the summer, if you're going to move somewhere that has a huge tourist climate or tourist population, for example, you need to go during that time because you might find you don't want to really be here when there are that many tourists. It may not be your cup of tea. So it's really important to first explore and figure out because maybe you are thinking Paris, but you take your 3 months and you go to all different places around France and you find somewhere in the south of France that is more appealing than Paris. And it has a very different vibe. You know, Barcelona has a completely different vibe than Madrid, and there are some very strong opinions from people about which one they like. And it really is, you know, what is your scene? I live on the coast. People are appalled that I moved out of a city, the capital of the US, to a village of 15,000 people. But I have more amenities here and more accessibility here than I ever had in DC. So it's really, really important that you do that exploration.
I love that. That's great. And I think you mentioned before, because you're in a village versus the big city like Barcelona, I would assume that's how, like, you really know your person is it the pharmacia? Is that what you call it?
Yep, and the pharmacia, yeah.
Yeah, you actually know people in these places that you have to, you know, frequent and see and, you know, get medicines probably. I don't know about at the courthouse, like if you know people there, but I think that's also a benefit and something to think about, you know, moving to a smaller village or town.
Right. And it's important to understand that if you do that, that increases the need for you to learn the local language.
Yes.
It's first of all, I will never advocate that someone move somewhere and not learn the local language because I think that is so essential to integrating. Because again, we're not transplant the US into another country. If you're moving, you need to move and be part of that. So to me, it's absolutely essential that you make the effort to learn the language. And if you do not live in the middle of a international city, you absolutely must learn the language.
I'm sorry, say that you broke up. You absolutely must what?
If you do not live in the middle of an international city like Madrid or Barcelona, you absolutely must learn the local language or you're going to struggle.
Right. We had another person on the show that moved to France and she's in a small village. She's not in Paris. She's in a small village. And she said, you know, I mean, she's fluent now in French, but It took her 6, 7 years. I mean, and to really, really study and apply and use it every day. But she said it's essential. No one's speaking English. you know.
Nope.
You said something a few minutes ago about Celsius.
Yes.
And let's talk a little bit about that, because the metric system too. If we were going to move over there, we have to know that.
Yes, you do.
Right? Because as you know, didn't teach us that.
Yeah. Well, Jennifer, I think you and I are of the age where we did learn it in school, but then there was never any applicability to it. So
yes. No, they did. They tried. They tried to teach us, but it kind of went out the window because I never used it.
Yeah, exactly. So no, we use Celsius for temperature. We use kilometers for distance. We use, metric measures. So when you go to fill up the car, you put liters of gas in it, not gallons. And you need to know that. When you go to the fruit market, you buy things by the kilo, and nobody's gonna, translate that into pounds for you because they don't know what that is.
Right. No, I think that's key, because it's real world. Someone else was telling me, at least with France, they were saying, Jennifer, same thing. You want to come over here at least, for a little while ahead of time, because reality will hit. You will likely not have a dryer in your apartment in Paris.
You will not. That is, you will not have one in almost any part of Europe.
Okay, so even in Spain, same thing.
No, even in Spain, we have sunshine.
So that, again, that's something else. It's just one of those things that surprised me. It really did. I was like, oh, okay. I mean, certainly it's something I can get used to, but I think that's something good to know ahead of time.
So also a difference is that almost every apartment has a washing machine, where a lot of times in the US, if you're in a city, there's not necessarily a washing machine in your apartment.
That's true.
So here, it almost always, we do have laundromats for for washing your bed linens and things like that. And there are people that use that service because there are people that do the wash and fold for you, and you can just drop your laundry off. But almost every apartment at least has a washing machine in it, and then they have a drying rack, or up on the roof they'll have wash lines for you to community wash lines for you to hang your wash. I have a dryer, but only because I bought one. And it's not because I'm from the US. I bought one because I live on the front line of the sea in a place that on a regular basis has 80% humidity with no rain.
Okay. That makes sense.
And when I first moved here, I thought, I don't need a dryer. This is not normal culture here. It's not necessary. I made it 4 days because I did laundry the first day, and 4 days later it was not dry. And I was like, I cannot do this. My life moves too quickly to be waiting 4 days for my socks to dry. It's just not going to happen. And so I bought the dryer. But something to understand is the dryers here are very different than the dryers in the US. The dryers here work on steam. And so even when you dry your clothes, they may still be a little bit damp, but at least they're going to dry.
Right. They're going to dry. They're not going to take 4 days.
You also don't have to worry about things shrinking like you do in the US when you put them in the dryer, and then you end up with your jeans being 2 sizes smaller.
Yeah, no, that's true. Okay. Yeah. That's a really good insider tip. Let's talk about, okay, let's get real here. We move over there. Obviously, I'm not bringing my bed with me, my mattress and all that stuff. So to get out and to buy that stuff, that your cookware, your, cups, dishes, plates, bed, a mattress. These are things that I guess, again, is real world. We have to know how to navigate. We need to know how to speak to the people to buy it, right? Did you find that to be, I mean, I know you speak, it's Spanish,
I
right?
speak Spanish, yes.
Yeah. Is that difficult for people that you find, just kind of getting their basic house set up or their apartment set up?
I think, we have IKEA. So, that's your default if you have nothing else.
That's good.
And like in many urban areas, wherever there's an IKEA, then around it, there's other kinds of shops. So for example, around our IKEA, there are, 5 mattress and bedding stores. There's several sofa stores, so things are very accessible. Online shopping is a real thing.
Okay.
And certainly you can move things here. I moved here with, I went on the plane with 2 suitcases and a backpack. And I shipped 10 boxes.
Oh, okay.
And I did that because I am 180 centimeters tall. For those in the US, that's 6 feet.
Mm-hmm.
And I wear a US size 11 shoe.
Ah,
And I also have some pretty serious health challenges, which was actually the reason I moved. So for me, it was important to make sure that on top of all the other stresses of moving, I didn't have to figure out where to buy a pair of shoes.
right. No, right, because that could be a
However,
challenge.
all those clothes that I had in DC, now we all know, for those that are from the DC area, how hot and humid it gets in DC.
Yes.
So one would think when I moved to a hot and humid climate that those clothes would have been perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm.
They were not perfectly fine.
Oh, tell me.
I could not figure out the first month, and of course I moved here at the end of August, like a crazy person.
Uh-huh.
I figure out why I was constantly hot, constantly miserable. I know it was not menopause, um, which is what everybody likes to say. Well, you know,
Right.
right? It was because everything I had was synthetic. And in DC, you go from your very air conditioned house to the very air conditioned bus or car to the very air conditioned restaurant to the very air conditioned office. And that
Yes.
concept does not exist here. In fact, they are very anti air conditioning. They think it makes you sick. So they do not over air condition things. And we also are a culture of outside. So we spend as much
Right.
outside as possible. So we are going from air conditioning to air conditioning to air conditioning. We carry our fans in our purses. We sit outside in the terrace. We wear our hats, you know, but it's outside. And so I had to get rid of all of those clothes that I put in those 10 little boxes and sent over. And I had to find clothes that were made of natural fibers, cotton and linen and whatnot. So
Wow. That's really good information because, well, one, first of all, I agree that actually those clothes are actually better for you anyway. There's all this stuff coming out now about synthetic material. It's not good for us.
mhm,
But that's a whole nother episode.
yes.
But yeah, I think that the air conditioning thing. I mean, I'm going to assume again, I'm going to sound like an idiot here, but I'm going to assume that France is a lot like that too. You're not going to have air conditioning everywhere.
No, that's again very European.
Yeah, it's a European thing.
I mean, obviously, parts of Europe, you don't need air conditioning. It's cool enough that you do
Right.
not need air conditioning, or maybe you need it for 2 weeks out of the year, so it's not a justifiable expense. Now, I have air conditioning in my living room and in my bedroom. We use systems called splits, so there are individual units in those rooms, not window units. They're actually in the walls. But the idea of central air conditioning or
Right.
central heating is that's a very US kind of thing, and it's
Yeah.
not so common here. Even newer buildings, when they're built, put the split systems in instead of the ductwork because ductwork takes space, and also construction here is different. Our walls are usually concrete, so it doesn't make sense to put those ducts in and do that. So it's just again, you have to experience.
Right. No, that's so smart. You know, we have to go over there and really experience it, live it. Let me so the person out there, let me back up for a second. So a person who's, thinking about this, obviously okay, we want to book time. We want to get over there for, 60 to 90 days if we can, right? To really experience it. But before that even, would you recommend maybe joining some online expat groups from that country? And that way maybe even try to line up some meetings with these people, right?
I would say use that avenue with caution.
Oh, tell me more.
Because a lot of those groups, people kind of, well, any kind of, community groups like that, people will pile on to a situation.
Yes.
And you don't always see the best behavior or the best information. And you will find a lot of people in those groups, especially groups that have the word expat in the title,
Yeah.
where people will post things like, I need a dentist who is within, 5 minutes walking of my flat on What's It Street, and I need them to be this, that, and another, and have appointments at odd hours, and cater to my every whim and speak English, and I don't want to pay more than 20 euros. And so you've got a lot of people who have come from their countries with the same concept of I'm going to pick up my expectations and plop them down in another place.
That's
I
good.
tell people, I refuse to refer to myself as an expat. I am an immigrant.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I have moved here. I am staying here. I am not temporarily here. I am not passing through or experimenting.
Right.
I live here. I
Mm-hmm.
have chosen to emigrate here. I
Yeah.
have my permanent residency. I have put in my time to get my permanent residency in EU. I have the same rights as any other EU resident.
How long
So,
did it take for you to get that residency?
so most countries you have to be here 5 years with very limited time out. Well, I would say very limited time back in the US, but very limited time outside of the country. You can travel around the parts of Europe that are in the Schengen region without,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to be 5 years in one place. And most countries also have language requirements that you have
Yes.
minimum proficiency to get your permanent residency. But once you do, then you have the full rights of a European resident.
I love it. I'm taking French at the community college in this next semester because I just can't get it from the apps. I just can't.
No, it's you really need the experience of being with people.
Yeah. Yeah. And then get in a French like conversation group or something. Mhm. Okay. Okay, that's cool. What and I know we could go on, but I'm just trying to hit some of the areas that I know a lot of the women think about. Here in the US, there is this thought that, well, actually there's two different thoughts. My thought is medical care is a lot cheaper over there and it's just as good, if not better, in Europe. That's my thought. I don't know.
Mhm.
I hear other people say, oh, that's not true. It takes forever to get a doctor appointment. You never get in. They like our system better. Give us the real deal, at least in Spain. What's tell me.
Unless you have a work visa, the visa requirements for Spain state that you must purchase private health insurance.
Okay.
You cannot be a burden on the Spanish health system
Mm-hmm.
for the first year.
Okay.
That insurance, though, compared to what you purchase in the US, is pennies. So you might pay 60 to 100 a month.
Oh, a lot more than that.
For full coverage with no deductible.
Mm-hmm.
And
Wow.
no copays.
Oh, wait, you're saying that's what you pay over there? Oh my gosh, that's incredible.
Yes.
Oh my God. I pay like 10 times that amount. Jeez.
Once you have been here a year, you are eligible and can prove that you've been here a year without leaving. You are eligible for the national health system.
Okay.
I pay 24 euros a month for all of my medication, and I pay nothing for doctors, and I pay nothing for private insurance because I'm on the public system.
Oh. Okay, and you feel the quality of their doctors when you go and you have an appointment. They actually sit and talk to you. They actually look you in the eye. They actually don't stand up backwards in the room.
I have to tell the medical center to stop scheduling appointments for me because they schedule everything for you. You get your mammogram, you get your eye, because I'm diabetic, so I have to have special eye. They schedule everything, and I'm like, hold on, I work, so I have to be able to schedule it myself. While I appreciate you looking out for my care, I really need to be in charge of my own schedule. So I think some of the things that people hear about, oh, that doesn't work and you have to wait forever for a doctor.
Yep.
Is unfortunately the European national health systems have degraded somewhat in the last 5 to 10 years over what they used to be, because this is my personal opinion, but somebody can fight me on it, because the concept of private healthcare has been rammed down people's throats because multinational companies, especially if they're US based, are hiring private health insurance for their employees as a benefit, as they would do in the US, in a country that has a public health system. So what's happening is these private insurances are luring the doctors away because they pay more. And so you have to wait longer for specialists in the public system because there aren't as many as there used to be. And specialized care, as does in any country, takes time to build up a bank of doctors who are trained. And so we are seeing that pinch of the private system taking away from the public system. And I have seen that in many countries. You see it in the UK, you see it in other parts of Europe. And it's unfortunate because there are a lot of really good things about the US, but its healthcare system is not one of them. And nobody should be happy. So
No. Wait.
so it's difficult. But all in all, I have very good care here. I have friends who have had babies here who have nothing but good things to say about the maternity wards and the public hospitals and the care that they've received, even in an emergency situation. It's just, if you need a specialist, you're part of the masses here, and because it's socialized medicine, and you are ranked according to your need. And so if your need is not urgent, you are not at the front of the queue. Whereas if you are in the US and you have really good private insurance, you can go to the front of the queue.
Yep.
And that's the reality. But everything else, they have protocols. So my appointments are scheduled, for a year. I know what's coming up because there are protocols on I should be having these tests and I should be having these visits and I should be having these follow-ups. And if I have an emergency, like I had an ear infection a couple months ago, I just rolled right into the health center to the urgent care and told them I had an earache and I thought it was an ear infection. They told me to go wait, and I was seen within an hour and walked out. And by the time I walked back to the pharmacy, my prescription was in the system.
Nice. Wow. Yeah, that's great.
That's it.
This has given us a nice snapshot of some of the realities, right? Of doing it. Let me ask you this in our 5 minutes we have left. Obviously, this podcast is for people at midlife and beyond, but we may have women of all ages listening. But looking at the landscape of their women, and I'm going to right now talk about single women, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. You see them out. You see them amongst the society, amongst the culture, correct? Because here you don't see that often. You don't see a lot of, and I'm talking women, I'm going to say, in their 70s, 80s, don't necessarily see, well, we're in a big city here, Washington, D.C. So, you don't see a lot of them kind of out about walking around, but over in Europe, you're seeing a lot of, seeing that.
Here we are very much a community of, no matter what age you are, you're part of the community.
Yeah, I love that.
In my town, we have a program every year that's several weeks long that honors our seniors. And they have all kinds of activities for them. But just in general fact, I live in a building that until recently was predominantly seniors. And, they have welcomed me into the neighborhood. We chat on the, I see them out and about on the street all the time.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, it's a very different vibe than what you see in the US, where we tuck our older people away. Here, you're out and about. There is no age at which people are going to, put you in your apartment or put you in an old age home and tell you you're not allowed out because you're to go out. Here, it's everybody is out all the time. You see generational families out. You see, the ladies who lunch. You see, a bunch of my neighbors from my little area here in my street where I live, go out for drinks together once a week. It's just very, very much a community. And because we are all out and about all the time, there's support.
And now all the studies are showing that as we age and get older, we need to be around people. We're not around people. That's they're calling it the new smoking. It's the loneliness. It's not having the conversations, not having the face-to-face. It's just so important. I mean, I feel it myself. I live alone, and thankfully I'm in this big building now, and I do see people of all ages in my building, but not necessarily out and about. So I do love that about Europe, and so I think
the caution here is you have to, because Northern Europe is a bit more closed off. Doesn't mean that they hide away their people, because they're still out. But as far as that social, congenial atmosphere, that is very much a Southern Europe kind of behavior and attitude. So it's really what you want. And that's why I really encourage people, no matter what your age is, to get out there and go see what it's like and if it's the place for you.
Yeah, go local, go to the local. Yeah. I love it. Indra, thanks so much. Let's talk a few minutes about your work because you are working over there.
I am working.
And yeah, you're an organizational transformation expert. You have over 30 years of experience optimizing how teams work together across 46 countries. You are doing a lot of leadership training, correct? With companies,
Yes,
with individuals. In fact, I know Mod.Life, we want to do something with you at some point, over in Europe. Um, when you're not transforming how companies work, you are there with your local community in Spain. You're cooking up amazing cuisine. Love to do a whole episode about that. You use local products and soaking up your beautiful views of the sea off your balcony. Um, what parting words could you say to someone? Well, first of all, where can people reach you? What's your website URL if people want to learn more about your business?
They can learn more about what I do at www.agilityforall.com. Obviously, you can look me up on LinkedIn, which is where I hang out most on social media. And if anybody does have any specific questions, I don't have loads and loads of extra time, but I'm happy to answer them or at least point you in the right direction for resources. And I also encourage people to join a group called She Hit Refresh, which is on Facebook, and it's for women over 35. And there is quite a vast number of people over 50 in that group, and there are a lot of resources. She even has a book on all the different visa types that are available around Europe, which is something that we didn't even have time to talk about today. That people need to consider how you're even getting here.
Right. That's a whole episode in itself, right?
Yeah, that is a whole different episode. And I really encourage people to join that group as a resource as well. But I'm happy to share information because I have, traveled and worked in so many different countries. I have, probably a different perspective than other people. But happy to help people however they can to make the move. I know I was giving a lot of cautions today because I want people to go into this with their eyes open, but it really was the best thing for me. And I think, other people have to decide what's best for them, but there's a place for everybody in this world. You just have to find the place that works for you.
Well, that's why I wanted to have you on, Indra, because I do feel like you are living the mod life. You are living the version of life that you created for yourself. And that really is what Mod Life's all about. It's imagining possibilities for yourself and for your life. The old paradigm of, hey, we age, we get older, we slow down, we're going to the home. I mean, in my mind, that's gone. Living the mod life is, what do you still aspire to do? I mean, just because you're 50, 60, 70, even 80, what do you want to do? And what do you want to experience, while you're here? And you have done it. You've picked up, you've done it. You're living, you're working over there. You've got your own business, which is really cool. And you're experiencing, and you're getting to still do a lot of traveling there, right? You're seeing a lot of European countries where they are. So it's pretty cool. So you are living the mod life. No, this is great. This is great. And some great tips. And I just want to make sure I got that website correct. That Facebook page, She Hit Refresh.
Yes.
Okay, great. Indra, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Come back another time and talk about how do you even get here? How you decide how you're going to arrive in Europe?
Let's do that. We'll make that another episode. That'd be a lot of fun.
And
we will be in touch, and they can follow you. So LinkedIn, Indra Books, Books. Please connect with Indra there on LinkedIn. Thanks so much, Indra, and stay mod.
Thanks.
Thank you for joining us on this episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. And as you continue your journey, may you be guided by the power of possibility and the courage to create the life you truly desire, no matter what your age. Welcome to our community of mod women, where every day is a chance to dream bigger, live fuller, and thrive in all aspects of life. This is Jennifer Abernathy signing off. Peace, love, and all things mod, and I'll see you next time.